If you are sick of relying on networking, word of mouth and referrals for new business, and if you find that you close your networking or warm leads at around 80%, but then when you go and do outreach or you run ads, you close at like 10%, then this video is for you. The key thing to remember with this is that it's not a lead problem, it's a trust problem. When you speak to warm leads that come through a network or word of mouth, they come with a huge amount of trust and credibility baked in. So the perceived likelihood of success of you being able to fulfill on what you're promising to deliver is really high in the prospect's mind. But when you go outbound or you go into cold traffic, then they don't know you from Adam. They've no idea who you are or what you've done previously. So the trust and credibility is much, much lower. I call it the trust and credibility gap. In most instances, it's a chasm, it's not a gap. But here's the kicker. If you can't pay to acquire customers profitably, then it's going to make scaling your business infinitely harder. Let me say that again. If you can't pay to acquire customers profitably, then it makes scaling infinitely harder. Because yes, networking, word of mouth, referrals, that is nice business and it's brilliant when it comes in, but you can't scale. You can't wake up on a Monday and say, oh yeah, I want 5 referrals through today. It's not going to happen. So in this video, we're going to address the offer mechanism, which means you will be able to go out to cold traffic and acquire customers profitably and then get them onto your main subscription or service. In fact, I'm about to share the exact offer framework that has generated over £185 million in terms of revenue for people that I've coached personally. And I've seen companies scale to well over 5 million a month using this exact framework. I'm going to walk you through step by step so you can literally steal it and use it and apply it to your own business. So let's dive in, building the offer and talking you through how you're going to do that. Let's just take a moment and get one thing straight. Why is everyone obsessed with the offer? Why does everyone talk about it? You've seen Russell Brunson, you've seen Alex Hormozi, all talk about the offer and the importance when you're running ads or when you're doing outreach. Why are they always banging on about it? So a powerful offer is the only thing you need to be able to supercharge any outreach or advertising efforts you do for your business. If you get the offer right, you have traffic, and if you have traffic, then you can learn to convert that fairly easily. But most businesses get stuck on not being able to generate enough traffic for their business, and that's where the offer comes in. So what is an offer? Well, an offer is how you articulate your product or service to a potential prospect, which leads them to believe that you will be able to solve a problem that they have. And it's exactly how you articulate what you do and the problems that you solve for a prospect so that they can understand it in a snapshot of time. Be that an ad or a cold email or a text or a very brief cold call. But you have to be able to articulate the problems that you solve and what the customer gets from dealing with you within a few seconds and in a way that a 12-year-old can understand it. You've all been on websites where you go on and you click on the website and you read it and you've no idea what the company does. Even if it's a complex or technical sale, that is not excusable, because yes, some people will go on and know what you're talking about, but everyone should be able to go on your website and see very clearly what problems you solve and for what type of business or person. I'm going to walk you through in this video, show you how you can take the problems that you solve and then articulate it in a way that makes prospects want to speak to you about how you're able to solve that problem. Now, going back to like why we do this and the fact that we're trying to build trust and credibility with our prospects. If you think about the value equation with Alex Hormozi, which I'm a big fan of, and I've done a separate video on this recently, but if you think about the value equation, you've got on the top, you've got dream outcome, what the prospect actually wants. Then you've got the perceived likelihood of success at the top of the value equation. Now, when you're going out to a cold audience, the perceived likelihood of success is very low in the first instance. So by proxy, that devalues everything that you offer to that prospect. So if you go to a prospect who is known to you, then the perceived likelihood of success is a lot higher. Therefore, they are willing to risk more money and invest more effort and sacrifice in you to get the result that they want, because they believe that you will be able to do it in magnitudes larger than if it's a cold prospect. So if we know that with cold traffic, the perceived likelihood of success is much closer to zero, then it's easy for us to understand what we have to try and fix that. Also, the perceived likelihood of success is going to have to be much bigger as well, because to someone to get to the point where they're certain that you'd be able to deliver £1,500 worth of value compared to someone being certain beyond any reasonable doubt that you're capable of delivering £18,000 of net value is a chasm. So it's not just 12 times more difficult to sell an £18,000 service than a £1,500 diagnostic offer. It's 24 or 30 times harder to do that because all of the value equation is stacking against you. Is that clear? Appreciate we're going a little bit deep here, but it's really important to understand what's going through your prospect's mind when they first come to you from cold traffic. So what we need to do is we need to craft a front end offer that we can use in our outreach or advertising that will enable a prospect to understand that we're capable of solving a very small problem or a part of the problem that will lead into our bigger product or service. So how do you package it? I'm going to go through 3 different ways that you can start to do this, which will cover a number of different types of businesses. Certainly if you're in a services business or an agency, then this first one will be for you. So the first one is a diagnostic offer. So this is where I take a small problem of the problems that I solve. So if we are a sales and marketing consultancy and we say that we solve all of the sales and marketing bottlenecks in the organization, then what we do is we portion off a little bit of that, which would be a diagnostic review or audit, and we charge for a lower ticket amount for that. So rather than charging a £10,000 full sales and marketing overhaul, we charge a £1,500 to £2,500 diagnostic offer up front to the prospect. This allows us to demonstrate value on a smaller part of the problem so we can build trust and credibility, demonstrate that we know what we're talking about before we move on to the larger ticket item where we solve more of that problem. Make sense? Because it's a smaller part of the agreement, we can put a much stronger guarantee in, so we can literally do a money back guarantee, full, no questions asked on it. And it also gives us the opportunity to over deliver on a small part of the project rather than having to justify this massive retainer or massive upfront project cost. And you can use this if you're in any agency or services-based sale, you can use this type of offer. So rather than offering a full service, offer a small diagnostic or audit report that can be handled or delivered ideally by AI using some of your IP, and then it'll give you a chance to give a recommendation to that customer. And guess what? The recommendation will include more of your products or services. So that's one way you can do it. The next is the paid proof of concept. So rather than offering a full retained service, say for a 6-month contract, you do a small proof of concept on one aspect of your service, which will allow the prospect to experience over a shorter period of time at a lower investment with key KPIs, so that they are looking at it not as a big investment but as a short proof of concept. You can normally get a prospect to the point where they can see that you know what they're talking about, and they will generally take a punt or take a chance on investing in a lower ticket service if they think it's got a good chance of getting a sizable return. And then the other way you can do it is to split your offer up in terms of your deliverables and offer one piece of that offer for a lower fee, and then you can add upsells or cross sells on over a period of time. But whichever you choose, the principle is the same. You take a smaller ticket item or solve a small problem or an individual problem that gives you a chance to build trust, credibility. It will allow you to recoup your ad spend or money that you've spent acquiring that conversation with the prospect, and then it'll give you a chance to scale the engagement once you get into that customer engagement. It is infinitely easier to sell to a customer who's already bought from you once. One of the biggest challenges for most businesses is just getting on that supply book, just getting on that roster. So by positioning a small ticket offer, you give yourself a chance to get on the books, get the orders in, build trust and credibility, and then take it from there. Right, very quickly. If you do sales in your business and you would like to close more sales in less time with fewer calls, then you can join my school community for free. It won't be free forever, but As I'm recording this, it's free, so head there now. You get group coaching with me, you get access to a £185 million sales process, you get access to loads of AI prompts and agents that I've developed to help you close more deals in less time. So just go to the link on the screen now or at the bottom in the comments, click on it and submit your application and I'll see you there. So we know what we are doing in terms of what we are offering in terms of the service. Next is how we position that to the cold traffic. Now, because we are taking a smaller part of our service or a small part of the concept and delivering that on cold traffic, we should be able to put a robust promise or guarantee of results or satisfaction around that as well. So a Grand Slam offer, again by Alex Hormozi in the $100 million offer. If you haven't read that, fully recommend it. You need these components. One is you need to offer a specific outcome. So what the prospect wants. The outcome can be escape from pain or it can be a gain. So for instance, close 1 in 2 prospects that you speak to is a specific outcome. That's part of my offer. So specific outcome is the one ingredient. That can be what your prospect wants. The easiest way to think about this is to think about what you would deliver if you had the perfect prospect who did everything you asked and then was an absolute fit and you smashed it out of the park. Don't worry about being conservative with advertising or outreach. You have to be big and bold with your promises. Don't be disingenuous, but think if you had the perfect prospect who executed on everything that you asked from them and you smashed it out of the park for them, what that outcome would be. What do they want more than anything else? And that can be the outcome part of the offer. The next is ideally you want a time frame. So remember the value equation, the shorter the time frame, the higher the value that the prospect chases. So example, in 8 weeks, that's why gyms have so many challenges. Fit in 6 weeks, 6-pack in 16-week challenge, because the time delay increases the value that people attribute to your offer or your service. So going back to my offer as an example, close 1 in 2 prospects you speak to within 8 weeks or your money back. So a specific outcome, time frame, and then the last one, which I alluded to there, is the guarantee. Putting all those together, it becomes really powerful. The last bit is calling out who you are solving that problem for. The more specific you are calling it out, then the higher the value the offer. So B2B founders, if you want to close 1 out of every 2 prospects you speak to in 8 weeks or you don't pay, then this is the offer for you. That's my offer, and that works incredibly well across cold traffic and advertising and allows me to scale profitably. If you want to get more niche, again, it will actually increase the value of your service. So fitness, I will get you to lose 12 pounds in 12 weeks or your money back, as an example for a fitness challenge. But if you say men over 40 with bald head and beards, I will get you to lose 16 pounds in 6 weeks or your money back. That has a much bigger ring because I think, oh, okay, that's for me personally. So the must know me is specific to exactly what I'm looking to achieve. So have a think. You want to call out who are you solving the problem for? So that is the niche. Then you want the specific outcome, which can be a gain or it can be an escape from pain. In other words, as an example, you could be B2B founders. If you want to escape the sales process in 8 weeks, so you never have to sit another sales call again, then we will do that for you. So you can call it out. The outcome can be an escape from pain. Then you want the time frame, if possible, and the guarantee. If you can reverse the risk, bearing in mind it's a small ticket offer, if you can reverse the risk, it makes it infinitely easier to sell to cold traffic. Because every business owner that you speak to, when they've come off an ad, they are thinking, what's the worst that can happen if I invest in this person? If I give them this money, what's the worst outcome that I can have? And if they can tolerate the worst outcome in proportion to the best outcome, then you will get that business. You understand how to create the offer. The next step is I want you to create 3 to 5 offer statements. All right. The best marketers that I have seen who have scaled very, very quickly are completely non-emotional about testing different offers. So they'll get lots of different offers. They'll get 3 to 5 different offers and the way they articulate it. And then they will test all of them and see what the market wants. Remember, your delivery doesn't really change much at the back end. The only thing that you're changing is the front end, how you position that to your prospects. I know one of the best phrases that I keep hearing is you have to advertise what people want and then sell them what they need. You're just trying to pick what do your prospects want more than anything else that you can advertise to them and say, hey, what I do solves that problem, or what I do gets you what you want. You don't have to worry about nailing it first time. You just pick 3 to 5 different big offers and then test them all. With ads, it's really easy to test this, but you can also do it with email and cold calling, any mechanism that you can think of. Then if you apply all of these, so you create your offer, you create the different variations, you put it out to market, what you will find is you'll very quickly understand what your market resonates. And the best part is that you'll start to get people coming onto calls, asking you to tell them about your offer. And that's where we're going to the discovery script, which we'll cover in the next video, which if you search, you'll be able to find a video where I've done all about that. And that's it. So to recap, the reason networking, word of mouth and referrals close easier than outbound traffic is because of the trust and credibility gap. People coming to you who don't know you have a very low trust and credibility in you, and they have therefore a lower perceived likelihood of success. Your offer is how you articulate what problems you're able to solve to that prospect. Then in terms of the delivery, a key note is that we want to create an offer around a smaller, lower ticket part of our delivery rather than the full fat service, just because it's easy and we like easy. And then we want to create 3 to 5 different offers, each taking into account the outcome that we're delivering, who we're delivering it for, the time frame, and the guarantee that we're comfortable putting together. We get 5 of those, we test it on the channel, and then we have prospects coming into our pipeline. Simple. Now all we need to do is to convince them to give us the money. Easy. Any questions, let me know. Other than that, see you in the next video.